Good Saturday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now at about 5:54, as we do have a possible tornado indicated on the radar right now in the Lake City vicinity. So we need to get folks into shelter right away here. We've been seeing some rotation in toward the Swanee River Valley over the last little bit, but we weren't really expecting much of a severe risk today. There's no formal risk of severe weather, but we were talking about strong storms the other day. That potential was there here for parts of the holiday weekend, and unfortunately we're starting to see that come to fruition now with this hook echo there headed right toward Interstate 75 in parts of Columbia County. So we need to get folks into shelter immediately here as we go ahead and try to zoom on in a little bit. We have a possible tornado right near Interstate 75. So this was indicated here moving east only about 10 miles an hour, so a very slow mover, just not a lot of overall parameters favorable for a tornado to develop today, but maybe some smaller hail on the north side there of this toward downtown Lake City, but parts of Lake City here under this tornado threat. So we need to get you into towards shelter right away here in Columbia County. A possible tornado moving toward Interstate 75. So this is a dangerous situation right now. It seems like the rotation's weakening pretty quickly. It was kind of a renegade area here on the south side of this, but we do have a possible tornado at least indicated by the Doppler radar. So that's what we're tracking right now. We're going to go to other source here and kind of walk you through some more things as we continue along with the special coverage on this Saturday to keep everybody safe and informed. We thought we might get through a weekend here finally without a severe potential, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case. It ended up not being the case here. So we have a tornado warning now towards Lake City. If you're down the south side of Lake City or on Interstate 75, a tornado could be headed in your direction. So you want to seek shelter inside a sturdy building, get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet. So again, a nasty scenario here. Rotation tracker says some rotation there. We'll bad this up a little bit. You saw some more in Swanee County. I thought we might get a warning there, so we had some stuff ready just in case, but then that faded, and in this area maybe not even quite as tight as the other area started to emerge here in a populated zone. So they gone ahead and pulled the trigger here. We started to get that hook to evolve here. I know we're also seeing some rotation in Union County now, just a little bit there, crossing over into Bradford County in the next little bit, but no warning there. But there's a significant weather advisory until about 6:30 here for parts of Bradford and parts of Union. So at about 5:55, the Doppler radar is tracking a strong thunderstorm over Lake Butler, moving east at about 25 miles an hour. Stark, Lake Butler, Rayford, Beasley, New River, and Johnstown there. I'll be getting into some of this over the next little bit, but that's again not a tornado warning or a thunderstorm warning, but that's for winds to around 40 at this point. Again, that could get upgraded to something here later on. We'll have to watch it because we have enough instability here. That's the fuel for all these storms here as we're looking toward North Florida. See, toward the north, we're not getting that too cool up there, but North Florida, we see the energy around. Now, we don't have much tornado parameters within this at all. This is your energy, but our tornado parameters don't even show up here, and that's why I'm a little surprised we got a warning, because we have a little bit of the supercell composite toward the coast. Now I look at some of our helicity values. Again, we're not seeing much, so I kind of doubt it that we're getting something to the surface. But if we do get something, it's probably a brief threat here, only lasting a minute or two, and then it kind of fades away here. So again, we have a possible tornado right near the interstate right now. We're being told there's a good view of some of this here on a traffic camera in the chat. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here right now. Tallahassee meteorologist putting that here in the chat right now. So I'm going to go ahead and try to effort that. I was going to kind of stay away from the traffic cameras here since we were just in such a short time span where we knew to just give you the warning. But we're seeing some pretty interesting stuff I'm being told here in chat. So let me go ahead and try to pull this up really quickly here so we can give you guys a live view of what's going on. Right, Dobbs giving us that here in the chat. So I'll see if I can get a live view in a second. Let's just go ahead. I'll just take this image full here then, because it may change. I mean, if I switch to live on us, by the time I get over there, it might not really give us a good look. So let's just take this full here on our other source. A traffic source. I'll see this traffic cam imagery from just a moment ago here. So look at that sky. That's really telling the story there, the inward part of the region. So again, this is I-75 mile marker 421.7 here with the Florida 511 perspective. So again, This is a tornado warning here for parts of north central Florida. Maybe the circulation just crossing there in the last scan, we're being told. So let's go ahead and just continue. We'll watch this. This is a still image from a few moments ago. It was just quicker to go ahead and pull this up because the time is just switching on us here with this storm moving across. So by the time we get over there, we might not really be able to get a good look at it. But this is a view from the Florida 511 perspective with the tornado warning here in play for parts of Columbia County. So again, a tornado warning here in play until about 6:15. So I'll go ahead and keep looking at some of our camera information, and we'll just continue to watch things. I may try to pull up the live view here on this one in a moment, but this is a pretty quickly evolving situation here. Again, no formal risk, but trying to get on here as quick as we could to keep everybody protected here as this tornado warning is in play for parts of Columbia County for another 15 minutes or so. So a nasty situation here in parts of north central Florida indeed. Let me go ahead. I have it a little bit forward now on our screen here, the image from a moment ago. Maybe you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So there's another look. You can just see the skyline there. It looks pretty nasty in parts of Columbia County, that view from a few moments ago. But there's your radar again. You have the greens and reds coming together, just crossing the interstate, it appears. So let's see where we're at with this. So we're looking closer towards State Road 47. State Road 47 there off the Moody Air Force Base radar. Don't necessarily see any debris. It wasn't 100% clear there, but I don't think that's debris. I really don't, because that's not really matching up in the right spot. And then looking back here, you can kind of watch the progression. It's not the tightest rotation you'd ever see. Honestly, if we had a tornado with this, it'd probably be in that EF0 to EF1 range here. So this is not something that would do extensive damage, but even a mobile home, it could still be hazardous to you guys. So again, we have a tornado warning here in play. EF0, EF1, we're talking about light to moderate damage, but still, damage is damage here, and if people are out on the roads, obviously that's going to be problematic here. So again, a tornado warning for parts of the area for another 14 minutes. I'm checking some different things here in the Weather Center right now. Again, we were ready to come on if we needed to, but we weren't really expecting to have to here in this type of threat situation. But unfortunately, it has taken that turn to at least have a tornado warning for parts of the area. It was required to be put into play here over the last 10 to 15 minutes. So again, we're checking some more information right now behind the scenes. Again, a tornado threat for Lake City. So again, parts of Columbia County here under this warning. One of our 62 counties under this threat right now, at least for another 14 minutes. This warning goes to about 6:15 here. So that's why we're on the air with you guys, to protect you, protect your friends, protect your family. So we just got an update, in fact, right now. They're giving us the latest here in the chat session, so just bear with me here as we continue along. They're saying this tornado is still located over Lake City, moving east at about 10 miles an hour, so it'll be near Watertown around 6:15. Again, a tornado threat here in parts of north central Florida. There was no formal risk of severe weather today. We did mention the strong storm possibilities, but now we have a tornado warning here in play for another 13 minutes for parts of Columbia County. So you need to seek shelter inside that sturdy building. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet here. So again, a nasty situation right now toward parts of north central Florida. A tornado warning, radar indicated. We don't know if it's on the ground, but those clouds are at least ominous there on that view here. At this point, probably too nasty to really get a good look on the live camera. It's just there's so many cameras there. By the time I would have got it pulled up, really, we wouldn't probably got the best view on this because of the angles, but at least we were able to see that still sub there from a few moments ago from I-75 at mile marker 421.7. That was looking toward the north here, according to Wright Dobbs. Again, National Weather Service Tallahassee meteorologist watching this storm. I mean, it's the only storm in the country that really watch right now. He's watching that and just efforting that information over because of the view that he was seeing there toward the Jacksonville chat session. But again, you have some lighting to the north, maybe some hail potential in Lake City, but it's probably not all that big here, that hail potential. Right now, according to the warning, hail will probably be less than 3/4 of an inch in diameter here. But again, a tornado warning for parts of north central Florida here, folks. That's why we're on the air. Again, we cover 62 counties, and Columbia County is one of them here. So again, a rogue, very rogue threat here coming together, very isolated. Again, no formal risk, not even a marginal. We just have a general thunderstorm outlook today. We now have a tornado warning that's remaining in effect here for another 11 minutes or so for parts of Columbia County. So a nasty situation here. You see a little bit of very weak rotation as we're looking just past to the east of US 41 now. Very weak rotation, but still it's rotation, so you have to be mindful of it here in parts of Columbia County. So I'll go ahead and back this up. Again, you can see where we had the tornado warning issued. The rotation was around Prairie Street there when we started to really see it tightening up enough for a tornado warning. Then crossing over, it looks like State Highway 247 and then 75, and now it's seemingly broadening on out here in terms of the overall scope of things. You see the colors even darkening, meaning a weakening there, a weaker nature to the actual winds involved in this rotation. So again, still watching this tornado threat, though we're efforting the information the best we can here. Again, we're live right now on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. I know we're trying to see if there are any questions in the viewer. I don't see any right now, but again, a tornado warning is in play for parts of Columbia County for another 10 minutes or so. Again, you have that hook on this storm, and that's why there was some concern. Now, we did have a significant advisory issued recently for parts of Union and Bradford. Now, this is not warned, but that one wasn't warned either until all of a sudden it needed to be. There is some weak rotation here on this. Looking off toward the north and west here of Star. In fact, I have a camera view here. Let me see if there's anything on that, because we have our westerly pointing camera here. I'm going to see if there's anything. If there is, I may go ahead and take that, even if it's just a little bit interesting to the viewer at home. So bear with me here as I look at that. Again, a tornado warning here in play to the west here for parts of Columbia County. I'm looking at our camera right now. I honestly really don't see much. The clouds are kind of dark, but that's about it here at this point. So I don't think we'll take that here yet, but if we need to, we have it on standby here for everybody at home. Again, this is moving toward Lawdy and other areas in Bradford County. Maybe even some of the worst of this could split the difference here a little bit. Let's see. It just moved over Lake Butler. Let's see here. We kind of watched the movement. They're tracking this off toward the east at around 25, but seems like the core wants to go a little north, so I may actually kind of head more toward Lawdy here than anything, as Rayford's getting some of the heavier downpours here, but even heavier toward State Road 100. But again, the rogue tornado warning here, very rogue threat. It just tightened up, so maybe we get another warning on this. You never know here as it crosses over toward State Highway 100 here as you're going between Lake City and Lulu. So again, we're going to continue to watch this. Again, a tornado warning here for parts of the viewing area for another, it looks like 8 minutes, but obviously that rotation there may be enough for them to issue another one of these. We'll see, because our rotation tracker is showing some of that rotation kind of bouncing up and down here with this threat. I'm going to go ahead and look right now at our current view of rotation tracker. You also see our general thunderstorm look at things as well here. So you see it's just 0 out of 5 risk here. Really, there's no form of severe risk. But yeah, we have a tornado warning for parts of north central Florida. So you got to take this seriously. Interior room away from windows, a pretty highly populated area at that, under a tornado warning here for another 7 minutes for parts of Columbia County. So again, a nasty situation there toward parts of north central Florida. You can see a little bit of rotation toward the Union-Bradford County line. It said a little bit tighter a moment ago. We had more rotation really trying to come together in Suwannee, but it wasn't enough for a warning. But then we saw it enough in Columbia County that they issued the tornado warning here for parts of north central Florida until about 6:15. So this continues for another 7 minutes here for parts of north central Florida, folks. Again, a possible tornado indicated by the Doppler algorithms in toward parts of Columbia County here. So you need to be inside and away from windows, putting as many walls between you and that outside as possible. So again, checking our rotation. This may be enough for them to continue it. I'm going to check a different view on our other system right now. Just bear with me. I want to see what it's showing on our Jacksonville side. If it's interesting, I'll switch it over to that, but it may not be interesting enough. It's showing some rotation there. I know earlier I was looking at Jacksonville and didn't see much off the site there for the Suwannee County accident. I think that might be one reason they didn't issue it, but there's enough on this Columbia County storm off the Jacksonville radar for a tornado warning to be issued here until about 6:15. Again, a possible tornado here in Columbia County. Right now to be near, it looks like Hubble Place there, looking toward Jonathan Way. Also over even as we get up there, Anastasia Street. So again, a possible tornado. I don't see debris though, luckily, co-located on a debris tracker. But again, a tornado warning for another 6 minutes here for parts of Columbia County, where we are in north central Florida. We're in Bradford, but another part of north central Florida right now, within our 62 counties that cover parts of North Florida and South Georgia, they're under this tornado threat here. A possible tornado, probably a lower end one, but still, a tornado is a tornado. I mean, an EF1 here, the highest possible type of winds we could probably see with this here. That would still, as I go ahead and pull up our enhanced Fujita scale here, that could still get us pretty high on the winds. I mean, so we could be looking at winds as high as 110 miles an hour with this, but I do not expect a strong tornado out of this type of threat here today. I honestly don't really expect much of a tornado touchdown if we were to get one here, but it could touch down for a moment. But that may be enough for them to continue it. I know it's not really strong wind, but it is gate to gate there enough, I mean, that they may be kind of concerned. It looks a little more elongated than it did when we had the hook on this a few moments ago. But between 100 here, it looks like Lake City to Lake Butler here, we'll be watching maybe later on here as you kind of look in the timeline. But really probably more about right now anyway, as I'm looking at this and tracking it. Honestly, probably more Lake City to Lulu, but there is a little bit of a southerly component with this one. Kind of interesting because the other storm is not really showing that as much. It didn't look like at first glance. We actually have a little bit of rotation to the north here as well that I've noticed, and that's not been enough for a warning, but it was in Columbia County further up. That may have been some action we were looking at earlier on there. That may have been that. As I bat this up even further here, that may have been some of the action we were looking at to the west, but actually you can kind of tell now that area in Suwannee County is really one of the different areas we were watching here. 3 different areas, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it. All the different zones we had a weak rotation in, but this one became tight enough here. I mean, probably more than 3 if you count them, but this one right now is the one of concern, the one you need to get in that closet or bathroom. Maybe get in the bathtub here. Obviously, you don't want to have water in that, but just to make sure you protect yourself from any flying debris that could occur in a lower end tornado. Now, you really would rather not be in a mobile home if you could help it here, but you have to obviously have time to evacuate that here in a sufficient manner, because otherwise you could honestly be putting yourself in danger in a weaker tornado situation like this if you were to try to evacuate that here with it coming right at you. But it's a tricky give and take here. Obviously, a stronger tornado is a situation when you have a tornado watching stuff, you have more time to make decisions. This is a pretty kind of right on you type of thing. There's a little bit of lightning around, but not a lot. As we look at that threat here too, that's more just to the north, but still, whenever you hear thunder roar, you want to go indoors here. So again, a nasty situation here toward parts of Columbia County. Again, a tornado warning here at about 6:15 for parts of Columbia County and parts of north central Florida. So that's what we're near with you right now, to keep you, your friends, and your family protected. So again, I'm checking to see if there are any questions from any of the viewers. I don't see anything right now, but we're going to continue along with you to see if we get this one extended here. That decision's about to have to be made, or it's going to be expired out. I mean, we're 6:13 and the warning only goes into their 2 minutes or so. So keep that in mind. The decision's going to be made here pretty much right now. So it's going to be a close call. At first, I didn't think it would be because things were kind of weakening down, but it seems like these colors with our higher wind values are up there enough now to cause some concern. So we reached at 10 miles an hour here. Again, a possible tornado in north central Florida, parts of the Sunshine State, parts of our viewing area under this tornado warning. Now, if you're in Bradford County, unlike some of our other counties in our viewing circle that we cover in Georgia, where we've had a bulk of our warnings here recently, you know probably where Columbia County is. But there it is on the map. It's only a couple away here within our 62 counties. And this threat, if it were to persist out of this storm, it could require a tornado warning for parts of Union and Baker here as well as Columbia. Probably not Bradford yet, but if this were to get extended, this particular storm will be a threat here for parts of Union, Baker, and more Columbia. So again, just continue to kind of keep an eye on things here in the Weather Center. A new tornado warning issued now at 6:45. So let's go ahead and come right back on over here. This new tornado warning now for parts of Baker, Columbia, and Union counties here until about 6:45. At 6:14, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Watertown or near Lake City, moving east at about 15 miles an hour. So you see, it does include 3 counties in the area now. We're talking about Lulu, the Palestine community, and Old Lusty all within this, but also Watertown and parts of Lake City. Again, it's about to cross 100. I'm very familiar with this stretch in my past year going to FSU. I mean, this is a road we took. I mean, going between here, start to Lake City on 100 and then getting on the interstate system. But again, I mean, it's about to cross 100 here pretty soon. So keep that in mind here. Keep that in mind that we could have a tornado about to cross State Road 100 here in north central Florida, as we do have a new tornado warning here in play. If you're just tuning in now, a new tornado warning until about 6:45 here for parts of Baker, Columbia, and Union counties here. So a nasty situation. So the new area under the tornado warning. Here's what you need to do. Tornado warning means seek shelter inside that sturdy building. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet or a football helmet here. Something along those lines. Again, that's what you need to do in this type of situation. You also got to think about putting those shoes on here in case you don't have them on. You don't want to cut your feet up here in the aftermath of a tornado or some other type of wind damage maybe. I mean, because if stuff's broken, glass is broken there on the ground, and you're walking through it to try to get out of your safe spot, you could have some additional injuries. So keep that in mind. It's probably a weaker tornado, but still a weaker tornado here, as I go back to our EF scale, is winds 110 miles an hour or less. So I mean, really is what we're talking about. Probably more like 85 or less would be more likely, but let's just say here that this is not going to be something that's higher than the F1. We're confident in that. This is a lower end, very low end overall tornado type of wind situation, but it's not a low end threat of a tornado. There is definite rotation here, so we need to take those tornado precautions here right now. Again, we're talking about just crossing over State Highway 100 in parts of the viewing circle here over the next few moments. Again, there's no formal risk of severe weather today. We did mention that strong storm possibility, though, in that Thursday night update. Now, this is our second tornado warning polygon here that's been issued by the Jacksonville office. So, again, this warning here being issued by one of the meteorologists there. He's been there a while, Hess has. So, again, just continuing to watch here in the Weather Center. So, again, just checking some more information. If you hear me moving the keyboard here, those keys around, it's just me trying to give you guys the latest information to protect you, your friends, and your family. But Jason Hesse's been here a while issuing warnings, and there isn't enough rotation to issue this, I think, at this point. At one point there, it kind of weakened off, but it re-strengthened here all by itself, taking advantage of the energy around. There's not a lot of rotational parameters, but it's rotating and there's energy, so this could get down to the surface as a weaker tornado here. So again, an odd situation, honestly, because we don't get tornado warnings here in our area very often without a formal risk involved. But that's what we have here today on this holiday weekend. So let's go ahead and get back on over right now to our other view. Again, you see some stuff, some rain to the west. You see to the north, the air's core. We have some of those velocity values per se, but the energy where we can't get severe weather is to the north there in Georgia. We don't have the energy available, the surface-based Cape, but we have that in parts of Florida here. We have that for parts of Baker, Columbia, and Union counties here until about 6:45. At 6:14, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Watertown or near Lake City here, moving east at about 15 miles an hour. So again, going between some of our different modes here. I'll put our satellite on. You don't see anything really standing out in terms of cloud tops, but still, you got to be careful here in this type of setup. Not seeing any spotted out there because this is not really expected as we just continue to go between some of our different modes. Again, a tornado warning for parts of Baker, Columbia, and Union counties here until about 6:45 now. So keep that in mind. We also have some weak rotation in parts of Bradford County here, so we have to keep our eyes on it. We have to keep our eyes on it here as we look toward parts of Bradford County. So let me go ahead and check this. There is a little bit of weak rotation. I'm going to check our camera again, and if there's anything noteworthy, I'll pull it up. So just bear with me here. Still just under darker cloud. There's not really anything that's too interesting here at this point. So that's some good news. But we're going to continue to check the camera here as the situation does evolve on us. But again, there's some weak rotation there on Bradford. No formal warning, but that's just there south of Rayford, north of New River. But again, a tornado warning for a tornado about to cross, potentially a tornado about to cross State Highway 100 here in parts of Columbia County. So again, if you're just joining me here, let's go ahead and kind of see, you guys, what 3 counties under this warning here as we go to our county area map. So again, I know we covered 62 counties. Right now, portions of 3 counties are under this tornado warning: Baker, Columbia, and Union. So that's where we're at right now. 3 areas in the viewing circle, 3 counties are under this tornado warning. Portions of those: Baker, Columbia, and Union. So again, a tornado threat here in parts of north central Florida right now is still ongoing. This tornado here probably about to cross 100, maybe just on the north side there of Lulu. So that's the latest kind of ETA per se. So let's go ahead and see, guys, what we have here. Again, you see the greens and reds coming together, and then I go back to the radar view. Again, with tornado threat here in parts of north central Florida. This could be a dangerous situation for folks here as we're looking. You see Olustee there, downtown Olustee, if you want to call it that. It's going to miss out on the worst of this, but it's going to be closer to Lulu here over the next little bit. And you see Watertown there. This is kind of going south there, Watertown proper. Again, it's very rural overall. But you see the airport out there. Let me see if we have our wind sensor on. We do, actually. So let me see if we have any temperature information that could be provided from there, because that could be interesting to us. But honestly, the wind must not be kicking up much on there. This is from a few minutes ago, 72 degrees. But the winds there really were only about 5 miles an hour. So we're being told right now that there's been some reports of circulation and funnel clouds around Lake City, but the storm is continuing to show signs of rotation, though there has not been a tornado touchdown reported as of yet. But if anybody receives reports, pass them to me, and I'll pass them to the Weather Service if we have any confirmed touchdowns here that we know of for sure. So again, let's just go ahead and continue to watch things here as this crosses over 100 over the next little bit. Again, this is a nasty situation here, folks, but it's why we're on the air right now, to protect you, your friends, and your family. So again, a tornado warning for parts of north central Florida. We're trying to keep you and everybody safe out there with this nasty concern here. Just bear with me. I'm checking some different things. It's a one-man band here. So we're just trying to make sure we don't have anything that's really catching anybody off guard in this type of scenario. I'm not seeing anything that's really just overwhelming here right now in terms of reports. So that's the good news. But we're going to continue to track this here. Again, a tornado warning to about 6:45 now. Again, that's when this one's set to expire here. The rotation looks weaker at this moment. It's moving pretty slowly overall, even though things around Interstate 75, obviously, we were watching there as it moved by that particular area pretty quick. It's just the way geography works, but you get the idea here. Again, a tornado warning to about 6:45 here as we're watching between areas there of Lake City and Lulu here. Again, a possible tornado in parts of north central Florida. So I'll go ahead and zoom back on out right now. Again, it's a rogue storm, another rogue storm in Bradford County we're keeping our eyes on. There is weak rotation there, southwest of Lodi per se. There's nothing that's too concerning yet, but the Weather Service says some of the storminess could give us winds to around 40 miles an hour. So just kind of keep that in mind here. Winds to around 40 miles an hour. A possibility in the Lodi area over the next little bit if that doesn't strengthen on us or weaken a little bit. But again, I just continue to watch things. I'm going to take off our temperatures, check some other information right now, see if we have any new wind information wind data out of Lake City's airport here. Don't see anything popping up yet, but again, there were reports according to NASA Weather Service meteorologists here that there was circulation and funnel clouds around Lake City, and the storm continues to show sonar rotation on radar. So it continues to show those signs, but there's no reports of a touchdown as of yet. But we'll continue to effort those. If there's any out there, we'll pass them along to you. So if you're just joining me, I'm not going to refresh this yet. I'm just going to see what our traffic cam image looked like about 30 minutes ago or so out of Columbia County. This is a still shot off the Florida 511 perspective here. This is from about 30 minutes ago in Columbia County here. That Florida 511 perspective. So just trying to give you guys a look. I was about 5:55. Those clouds were very impressive here for sure. They might have been even rotating here on this view. Again, we just kind of ahead and went to the overall viewpoint here from the Florida 511 traffic system, the still imagery versus the live viewpoint there. But again, this says it's looking toward the south and west there from where we're at there along the interstate system, which would be in particular there, if you're familiar with it, mile marker 421.7. So again, this was the view there about 30 minutes ago on that Florida 511 camera. So just so you guys know what it looked like about 30 minutes ago. I'm going to come back and then I'm going to refresh that. I'll keep that one up just in case we need to look at that later on. But then I'm going to go ahead and refresh it into a different viewpoint here just to see what is the change here in the sky. It's changed dramatically. That view has changed dramatically here over the last little bit. So let's go ahead and pop this up now. This is the current view 30 minutes later, and things look a lot calmer now toward Columbia County's I-75 at mile marker 421.7 location. So that's the view there as of about now. But again, we just got an update here in the chat. At 6:26, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Lulu or near Lake City, moving east at about 15 miles an hour. So again, let's go ahead and move away from this and get back over to the radar view here for the time being. I do want to note that we're not expecting any strong storm potential really tomorrow here for your Easter Sunday, which is good news. But this is what rotating here might be a little tighter again. It just doesn't want to go away. Kind of surprising, but there are higher instability values despite there's really not a lot of rotational action there that would promote a tornado down to the surface here in terms of just the overwhelming threat. But we've heard about funnel clouds, meaning we're getting this going here, and with the rotation on radar and the instability, that can get down to the surface in the form of a tornado, and it's definitely wise here to have a tornado warning out here just in case. It'd be a weaker tornado, an EF0, EF1, as we've alluded to. I'm confident that it would not be anything too strong, but that still doesn't mean it's not dangerous. An EF0, EF1, I mean, as I've shown you guys multiple times here, and I know this stuff would be rated after the fact if it even did touch down, so we can't predict this on the fly for certain, but just in general here, this environment would be only conducive of lower-end tornadoes, but it could still, I mean, it could still cause car accidents. Vehicles could be involved in accidents because of this. We could also have a situation here where, I mean, a mobile home could be significantly damaged, I mean, in this environment. And flying debris could still be out there, so if you're outside, you don't want to be outside, obviously, in this type of situation. Again, if we had something to be F0, F1, this is not an overwhelming situation here by any stretch of the imagination. This is not what we saw toward Bullinger County there in the heartland early Wednesday morning when we had that high-end F2 in the middle of the night. Or something like what we've seen just over the last few weeks nationally. Our logo is blue. This is a very low-end threat, but it includes parts of the viewing circle. So that's what we have to be on right now, because even if it's a low-end threat overall, we have some folks that could be impacted by a tornado in parts of the area. So let's go ahead and zoom out. Look at that storm in Bradford again. There's no warning here, but we're in Bradford and want to make sure we don't miss something here. We have some very weak rotation crossing State Road 16 over the next few minutes, but keep an eye out per se, but you don't need to take immediate action here if you're in Bradford County. I mean, I wouldn't be outside, don't get me wrong, but with lightning, you see that popping up, but it's not an immediate tornado threat in Bradford. But right now, there could be an immediate tornado threat for parts of Columbia County. Again, there's a tornado that's probably crossing right over State Road 100 right now here in north central Florida. Again, you can see here, looking right now near, it looks like road number 144. So I'm near road 277 pretty rural out here, honestly, versus where we were at a moment ago. But it's still a possible tornado threatening parts of north central Florida for another 16 minutes. So again, a tornado warning is in play here for parts of the viewing circle until about 6:45. So you need to be in an interior room away from windows. Let's go back to our tornado safety tips here. Again, a tornado's been detected using radar spotted. It hadn't officially been spotted. We've seen funnel clouds, though, according to the Weather Service and the meteorologist there in the chat session. But still, you need to seek shelter inside that sturdy building. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet or a football helmet. So again, we're talking about parts of Baker, Columbia, and Union. Lake City, the threat's really passing by downtown Lake City here at this point, as we've alluded to. So that's good news for you guys there. And we'll go ahead and go back on the view. You just have some light showers coming in there as we pop this up toward that area, but there's still a pretty well-defined hook crossing toward areas along State Road 100 right now. Your new significant weather advisory now, though, out to the east, including parts of Bradford and parts of Clay and Union, it looks like, until about 7 o'clock there. We have some rotation this week, but right now they're saying maybe a landspout potential, winds to 40, and pea-sized hail will be the hazards there. And then up to the north, we have just areas here, maybe some wind enhancement here. I see there's an advisory for parts of Baker, Nassau, and Duval, so let's see where we're at with that. I want to make sure I'm on the right area here. It hadn't quite popped up in our system yet. Jacksonville radar may say that a little bit better. In fact, it may be a situation where we want to go ahead and switch here pretty soon, but that's still something pretty tight at 4,500 feet. I'm going to see which radar is closer, so it's going to reset here to whichever radar is closer in our system based on the distance. So just bear with our system here as it's going to kind of reset with a zoomed out view on storm radial velocity values here. So just bear with it and bear with me here as that kind of comes across. I want to see, because if we get a closer distance, we can track this a little bit better, give you a little bit better idea of what may be happening, because the meteorologists at the Weather Service would want to use the closer radar here, and we should obviously too. So we're kind of in that distance where it's kind of in between a little bit, which one's closer. It is now Jacksonville, so let's go over there to Jacksonville. It's about 4,000 feet, so it's now gotten a little bit closer to this, and it still shows a lagging behind on that last scan there, 100. But again, we'll continue to watch that there. We have this other significant weather advisory. There's a little bit of weak rotation there, showing up on Jacksonville, moving toward Briceville over the next little bit. So watch that toward Nassau County. Again, this is the storm here. It's about right around 100. It shows it not crossing over that yet. It shows that it hadn't crossed there yet, so you still got to be alert here. Around 100, there's a little bit of radar displacement here. That can be an issue. This is a little bit closer though, so it could be in this realm. I mean, you see how we back it up off of this view. It hadn't been as tight at points, but it also wasn't the closest radar for a while, but it showed some rotation there, and you can still see that there. The crosses near around Lulu. It's a very slow mover, as we've alluded to here this evening. A very slow mover here as we continue along with this tornado warning here until about 6:45. So again, if you're just coming on, this is Saturday, April 8th, 2023. We're not expecting really any tornado warning to necessarily be the storyline today, but we've got them here. We had a little bit of a severe chance, I said, strong storms in case we had a damaging thunderstorm here with winds of 60, but the rotational parameters really weren't supposed to come into play quite like this to promote this tornado threat, but we were on guard just in case here, and we've been on with you for about the last 40 minutes or so, trying to give you the latest information to protect you, your friends, and your family. So that's what we're doing here at Cloud Weather. Again, we're at 6:33 on this Saturday. Again, this is right near State Road 100. Let's see what else we have here. We'll go back to the debris tracker, so if we have anything down. I don't see anything down here at this point. We'll go ahead and zoom back on out right now on the view here. And you see that other storm in Bradford County moving toward Lordy. It doesn't show like much in the way of rotation off of that view at all now. So that'd be the closer radar for sure there. And we don't see much on that. And a little bit of weak rotation there just into Charlton County as we're looking on a storm up there. But it's not too impressive. But this is the one where we have the tornado warning. A possible tornado here around Lulu here in Columbia County for another 12 minutes or so. as we continue to protect you, continue to protect your friends, and continue to protect your family. So I don't see any questions still, but I'm continuing to effort the latest information as we get here into a setting that'll be a little bit darker, a little harder to see stuff outside as we look later into those nighttime hours. Again, tornado warning. Here's what you need to do. We don't have any tornado watches in play, but still just kind of stay tuned for the latest here at this point since we've already had these warnings. Just kind of keep an eye out for our north, central, and northeast Florida counties as we look ahead here later on, just in case something else were to emerge on us. It's not a big threat at all. Officially, there's no formal risk. The threat wasn't high enough to get to a 2% tornado probability or a 5% damage and wind probability, but obviously the chance is never zero necessarily in this type of setup. So that's why we mentioned strong storms here, and that's why we were ready just in case. We saw that rotation in Suwannee County. It was getting a significant weather advisory. It kind of faded, but then another area emerged, and in the Weather Service's eye was pretty concerning. So they issued a tornado warning, now a second tornado warning as this gets past Lake City. They're calling this a pretty resilient little thing here. Aviation meteorologists here in the chest, that's what it looks like, and that's definitely the case. So it's definitely just hanging together, being annoying here, disrupting your Saturday evening plans, and maybe depending on what you're watching on TV, maybe your Saturday evening programming. Obviously, we don't interrupt programming here, but definitely could be an issue for some folks. So again, let's go ahead and see what else is going on as we go back going over right now around Lulu. So again, we're watching this here as we're looking. You see Old Lusty to the north, Lake City to the north and west, 5 points there. You see Lulu here again. We're trying to just make sure we give you guys the very latest here as we move our maps around. There's not a lot of new information, but this tornado warning really doesn't include Lake Butler here proper. They don't have them in the text of this, but we have Lulu and the Palestine community if this holds together here. So again, at 6:26, the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Lulu or near Lake City, moving east at 15 miles an hour. They're saying just make sure if you have a basement, you don't really have them around here, but if you did have one, you could move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid the windows, and if you're outdoors, you're in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. So again, flying debris can be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes can be damaged or destroyed in some of these setups, and damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur if we had a tornado that we're touching down towards some of those different types of things, and tree damage could also occur. So again, I'm just going to continue to watch here. I mean, tree damage would be more likely than anything. We're in a pretty rural area, so it would be nice if it did touch down, it would only touch down in the areas here of like trees and it didn't harm anybody. Okay, we're being told they've just expired the tornado warning now. They don't think there's enough rotation anymore for concern. So they're going to say they're going to keep it to 6:45. So this kind of gives us a little bit of a dilemma here, because technically, even though it's not on our screen anymore, it's still kind of in play for another 8 minutes. I kind of wish they just gone ahead and canceled it out, because now we kind of need to just keep an eye on this for a little while longer, just in case, because technically it doesn't show up on the maps anymore, but technically there's still a tornado warning out there for another 8 minutes. So let's go ahead and see what else we have here in the Weather Center right now. We'll go ahead and zoom back out to the broad perspective. Again, our system's kind of running a little slow here today. Bear with it. Here you go. So again, there's your viewpoint right now of the whole region. So again, the tornado box is no longer on the screen technically. That's some good news here. Definitely some good news, but we're just going to keep watching this scenario here to see exactly what's happening. You can see the colder air to the north. I know some rain has been disrupted in the Masters here today. Unfortunately, pushing more of that third round back into tomorrow. It's in the mid-40s with the rain there in Augusta right now. So that's kind of the storyline there at the Masters. That's going to be resuming there tomorrow, it looks like. Hopefully they can avoid a Monday finish. I haven't really been in tune to the latest on that over the last little bit since we've been busy here. Really tracking this latest information on this tornado warning to protect you, your friends, and your family. So again, you see the temperature in the 70s here. Many parts of north central and northeast Florida, and even 81 in Ocala. But in the north here, we've seen 60s and 50s, lower 50s toward like Daugherty County there. That's still a cooler day. Obviously, you don't have the instability here for this type of threat as we get further on up toward areas there in the Peach State. I mean, you just don't have that threat. It's not going to be surface-based convection there. I mean, you don't have any instability there as we get toward like Tallahassee and Gadsden County, especially in Georgia. That's some good news. So, again, let's go ahead and see what we have right now. You have rotation tracker pulled up. You don't see much anymore. But let's kind of recap what's been going on here. We'll go ahead and zoom on in. We'll go ahead and zoom on in right now toward parts of this area. So how we had the tighter rotation there earlier on as it was near 975 to issue the tornado warning. Then we had another area that was tight enough. This kind of may resemble it here in the timeline where I kind of have my little red square there. And that's why we had enough for another tornado warning. But now they've expired it out because the thread isn't tight enough anymore. And you see how weak it looks there on rotation tracker. Again, they say it's going to expire here at 6:45 officially, even though it doesn't show up on the weather maps anymore. But technically, it's going to go to 6:45. Looking at the 1 hour rainfall here. See some areas in northern Baker County, over an inch of rain there. Parts of Union County, about an inch or a little bit less already there as we're getting near State Road 100. It would seem in parts of Bradford County. I'll go ahead and zoom into our north central Florida view here. You can kind of see about an inch of rain there as I was looking at that. So not too much in other areas. I mean, where we're at, we haven't got anything so far today in toward east central Bradford County per se. So that's kind of the good news with that. But again, the tornado warning here technically still would go to 6:45, even though that thread is obviously wound down, because they wouldn't go ahead and see that out of the end thing. This thread was going to kind of wind on down, and hopefully we'll be at the end of it here to the evening. Hopefully it didn't touch down. It did seem like we had funnel clouds that were reported, and those clouds we looked at on that traffic camera imagery are pretty ominous. As I say that they've expired it out, we are starting to get a tightening again of the rotation here in parts of Columbia County. So let's look at this. I know there's no red box, and the plan is that they don't have a new warning coming, but this is starting to tighten back up again, or just here north side of Lulu, it looks like, around Southeast County Line Road. So maybe a good reason to stay with this. They are saying it expired at 6:45, so they're kind of clarifying everything. It really isn't over yet, even though it doesn't show up in our system anymore. They're kind of holding this for another 4 minutes in some regard. They just kind of had issued that statement a little bit early, so technically you're still under this thread for another few minutes. So I'll back this up real quick and to see where the red box was, just to kind of give you perspective. It's just the way it goes when we have these drop off earlier here. The boxes go away, and generally the thread kind of winds down. But honestly, the tornado warning technically still is in effect, and you technically still have some type of potential here. So, I mean, this looks like it's kind of ramping up a little bit again on us. So, I got to be kind of careful here. It's not the most overwhelming thing we've ever seen, but there's still some greens and reds here coming together as we're looking around Lulu. So, again, this should be moving off maybe into parts of northern Union County here, maybe closer to where northwest 100th Lane there in Union County over the next little bit. So keep that in mind. It's not completely out of the question that we get a third tornado warning here then, because of that tightening of the rotation. Yeah, that's gate to gate. So they're gonna have a decision to make, I think, here now. I think they were hoping, and everybody was just hoping that we wouldn't have to worry at the 6:45 benchmark anymore. But there's enough rotation there. They may have to kind of watch this. I know rotation tracker isn't picking up on it too much here at this point as we're getting eastern parts of Columbia County, but it may still be kind of running behind by a moment because it analyzes the overall situation and then kind of reports back this one versus the other one, the raw mode. We have to interpret live with our eyes. This kind of does the interpreting for us, but it'll have a tendency to run behind. So I have a suspicion that this area here may start to show some more red in it here in just a moment. So if you saw my little red box there as you're looking down 100, just southeast of the airport there, just southeast of Lake City Municipal Airport, and southeast of Lake City there. We'll just have to watch that. But we only had a gust of wind there that was very minimal just a little while ago. I'm looking here. Let me just kind of double check my numbers. I mean, we only had a gust of wind there too. It looks like, 5 miles an hour at the airport. So obviously it seems like we're not really getting much in the way of issues here, even though we had funnel clouds reported. But again, let's get back to the other mode here. I'm going to check our power outage numbers. I haven't done that during the course of this coverage yet. Let's see what we have in terms of power outage information. There's 1,008 customers in the state of Florida without power. 74 of those in Hamilton County, 3 in Swanee, 1 in Columbia, none in Union, none in Bradford. But again, let me explain to you guys what a funnel cloud is, because there were multiple reports according to the Weather Service of that. So it's really where we have a tornado trying to develop, but it hadn't got down to the surface to officially be called a tornado, and it's not doing that damage. I mean, that's what a funnel cloud would be. A tornado would be an actual tornado hitting the surface. That funnel cloud would be down, and it would be considered a tornado touchdown. And then a water spout obviously is over a water body. It's a circulation of a tornado pretty much over water is what you would call a water spout. And this is our latest view there. This switch there looks like some different modes maybe. Let me double check there. It looks like our color kind of switched on us a little bit. Some of that is up just a bit. There you kind of see a little bit of a switch. But anyway, we're just going ahead and looking here toward areas there around Ethan Allen Road there in Columbia County, just in case something were to emerge on us here. So looks like we're having some issues with the debris tracker right now. It's not wanting to pop up on us. There we go. There's some of the latest, and we're not really seeing much there on debris tracker at this point. Obviously, we're not expecting to see much here, I wouldn't think. But again, you saw the brightening here of the rotation with the winds just a little bit. That's 50-mile-an-hour wind around Madonna Road showing up right now. So again, technically the warning is just now expiring here at 6:45. So we're at that benchmark right now here. So officially here, that tornado warning wouldn't be in play here as we get past, let's say, 6:45. Technically it'll go off right at 6:45, but let's just say here we'll count into the end of the minute and then just kind of see how things look. That doesn't look great. It looks like it's tightening up a little bit, at least maybe enough with the one direction of wind for maybe a severe thunderstorm warning here. It's not overwhelming. It hadn't been overwhelming the whole day here, so it's kind of been just a tricky situation. Since we haven't had touchdowns, they may kind of lower. Let me say that better. They might raise the threshold here. They might not want to issue a tornado warning. They might lower their thinking for what they want to do here, not really include a tornado warning in their overall threat assessment, because the threat wouldn't be as high for a tornado to hit the surface here. As we're getting later on in the evening, the threats would seemingly dwindle on down, because you're not going to have as much instability around. So gusty showers, what they're calling this now, toward parts of Baker and Union. It's maybe a land spout, which technically would be a weak type tornado, but so low the damage wouldn't be very much. But it's around Lulu there, 10 miles northwest of Lake Butler, moving east at 15 miles an hour. So land spouts and gusts to 50 there, according to meteorologist Jason Hess. Rayford, Johnstown, and Ellerby could be in this. So in this threat. So let's give it one more radar scan, then we'll wait for that significant weather advisory box to come up, and if it doesn't tighten up significantly here in that next scan, we'll let you go. We'll wrap this up. But while we're waiting for that next scan here to come in, let me go ahead and just remind you, we have Facebook, Casey Cloud WDX, Cloud Weather. We have Twitter at Cloud Casey. We have YouTube at Cloud Weather. Make sure you subscribe there. You'll get notified when we come on if you hit that bell icon. Twitch Cloud Weather, the website cloudweather.com as well, and then even have auto alerts there, Cloud_WDX on Twitter. I know that's something that we hope kind of holds out on us here for a while, because it can be helpful sometimes if something, especially like a thunderstorm warning in the summer, pops up. That's something that can really give you an alert here quickly. It may take us a couple minutes just to get that out based on just the overall process here of how things work. I mean, you can't just have something out instantaneously here from Weather Service without doing some work on our end. So there's a new significant weather advisory. So let's go ahead and see, guys, that now. You see that box. They're saying the tornado warning has expired. There's weak rotation. The storm does not appear strong enough to support a tornado right now, but gusty winds are still a hazard with this cell. So let's just see what we have. You see the storm here. It's still all by itself, but yeah, I see what they're saying, because you see the purple here, and we backed that up too far because we were looking at that radar earlier on, but we've been switching between radars here trying to get the best vantage point here, but you can see how we had purple and darker reds. We don't have as much of that now, a little bit still though, but it doesn't seem quite as intense of a storm here as we had a little while ago. Looking at some of our other things here, this wouldn't probably get that high, but only echo tops at 20,000. I mean, you can have like low top supercells, and they could still be tornado producers there. That's not always an indication of it, but our ZDR here is still in some upscale growth. That's kind of interesting. So let's just see what we have here. I'll back this up again. Just kind of showing you how to get a little bit. We had, again, a little more of those reds and purples, though. over a wider area. It seems like the storm is in a little bit of a decaying phase, but don't let your guard down, especially if in this box here, the significant weather advisory box. I'll go ahead and put my mouse on the screen. This could be something here that goes back to a tornado warning here in pretty short order. It's not out of the question. You see our box here. We're looking in this general vicinity. Again, we could get this upgraded to a tornado warning again. So if that happens, we'll be back with you here on a new stream, a different stream here, as we continue along and look at our rotational tools. You can actually see the rotation picking back up on rotation tracker there. Latest scan of rotation tracker. So we definitely can't let our guard down with it, but the storm just doesn't look overall strong enough to produce a tornado right now, but it's a tricky, pesky storm, and it's not completely out of the realm. Now we get another tornado warning or a thunderstorm warning even. A tornado warning we would be required to jump on, obviously. A thunderstorm warning we would play it by ear, use our discretion based on what we're seeing with some of our different informational sources. So our 62 counties are these. Again, make sure you kind of just continue to keep an eye on things here. Most of the area doesn't have a threat. Georgia, no threat here at this point. It wouldn't look like. Maybe Southern Charleston. I know we kind of say nobody in Georgia has a threat. Well, Southern Charleston kind of dips down, and they kind of sort of have a little bit of a threat still. But pretty much everybody else in Georgia is just too cold to have any type of threat there of anything. So just kind of keep that in mind. So, and then as we look at it, we're Tallahassee, we don't really have those instability values there. Maybe right near the coast, but really. North Central Florida, Northeast Florida, that first coast, there's a small chance of something, but no formal risk. That's the good news. But if we see something pop back up, we'll be with you guys to protect you, your friends, and your family here. The latest scan, by the way, looking better. It's looking weaker. That makes me feel a little bit better about wrapping this up. We don't have as much of the greens and reds now, but it could always come back together. So we'll be on standby here and making sure that if something does pop back up, we'll be right back on here to give you guys the latest information. But for now, have a great weekend. Happy Easter. And if we don't have to see you back before Tuesday night, we'll see you then here on all the different platforms as we protect everybody out there and keep you guys safe.